hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal Bedtime Stories From Beyond. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and you're stuck with me. So you got that going for you, but happy Memorial Day. I hope you all, I know it's a day off from work and stuff, but it does symbolize something incredibly powerful and potent, and that is those who didn't finish their journey or were fell while, performing their service. And, it's certainly it's a time of reverence, I guess. And I hope you guys spent a few moments and thought about that. I mean, that's the ultimate price, right? And so I'm not a big person about stars and stripes and all that. I mean, I love my country. I love the people in it. I love what our country represents. But I'm not one of those people to shove it down your throat, that kind of thing. But I hope that you guys enjoyed the day and remembered what it's all about, because I don't know. It seems to me that there might not be a more profound thing to do than sacrifice your life for something you believe in, So I just hope you guys had a great day, and that it wasn't just a day to sleep in. It was an important day, and I put a message out on Facebook. Our hearts, we honor your sacrifice with our hearts, and our prayers go out to those you left behind, because I can't imagine a worse pain than to lose someone you love, in a field of battle or in the line of duty, the line of service. So, my heart goes out to all of you who either had to say goodbye to someone you love due to them performing their duty, or, or to those who fell down and in their line of duty and weren't able to return home. Just to, take it or leave it. I just think it's important to remember the spirit behind these days, because a lot of people make them commercial. A lot of people commercialize these things, and they strip the heart right out of them, and commercialize them and make them about, hey, there's a great Memorial Day sale. And it's like, yeah, but it's, it's really not about you guys selling more crap. It's about, honoring those who gave all. So anyway, I'm off the soapbox. I'm sorry, but I hope you guys are ready, because it's time for bed. All right, guys, so this is the Bedtime Stories From Beyond. I hope you guys are having a great day, and thank you for being here and spending at least part of it with me here on the portal. It's always a great pleasure to come and do the show for you guys, and it's Definitely one of the things that no matter how many times I do the show, and I do a lot of shows anymore, but I'm still not even like stressed about it. It's just something I love doing so much, and it gives me such a great pleasure, and I'm honored that so many of you enjoy it enough to keep showing up. So thank you for that. Every show is honestly a gift. So thank you guys, and I just want you to know I love you all. Those of you who are constantly coming into the chats during these shows, and those of you who just constantly check it out when you can, if you can't make the live shows, I just want you to know very sincerely that I love you guys dearly, and you guys are amazing. It's something that it's hard to believe, but I appreciate it. But I'm wearing my Superman tonight, so I hope that I can be a super host and bring you a show that keeps you entertained and makes you want to come back again. So, all right, guys. Let's see how many are in here. I'm kind of off the chart there. We already got 22 people in here, so it's climbing quickly. But this is our Memorial Day celebration of the Paranormal Portal. I guess I'm commercializing it now, aren't I? Yeah, that makes me kind of a dick. Sorry. That was not well thought out. Anyway, this is the Bedtime Stories, and I hope you guys are ready because I got some stories pulled up for you, and I hope you enjoy them. So let's see what we can get into here. The phone line is always open, 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. So if you have something that you'd like to share or call in about, please do. Good evening to you, Pat Studio. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. And I guess I can go through the list. I don't know, again, how complete it'll be, but just to give a hello to everybody. Chris Guy, Deb Varner, Gemini Moon, Jess Mink, Lewis is in here, MCAT, Nelly. I'm in here in Pat's studio. It seems like there's more, though. It doesn't seem like that's a very comprehensive list. I'm just looking through the list. Maybe that's all that's talking. I don't see. Oh, Cade Shipley's in here. I didn't see that name on the list, or maybe I did. Maybe I even read it. But Michael Holtz, good to see you. Who else? Terrestrial Mac. Yeah, I didn't see that name on that list. So I don't know what's up with YouTube's participants list, but apparently they're not participants. They're not marking their participants very well. Sorry, my eye is going crazy. But Gemini, hello, good to see you. Thank you for being here. I just saw the big Paranormal Portal. Hey, buddy. So, Becky Taylor. All right. Great to see you. Matthew Learned. So more and more are coming in. It's great to see you guys. MCAT. Hi. How are you doing? Did I say you before? I don't think so. But I'll do my best to shout you guys out as you appear in the chat room. But once I start reading stories, it's anybody's guess if I'm going to see anything in the chat room. That's why if you're going to try to talk to me in the chat room, do it with the orange text. Say Paranormal Portal, because then it'll highlight in orange and then it jumps out to me. That definitely helps. Excuse me. All right, so let's get going here and find these stories, and hope you guys enjoy them. That's always my mission anyway. So the first one is coming out of Maine, and we don't see a lot of stories from out of Maine, so this is kind of cool. This is one of the places I've always wanted to go because I was up in the San Juan Islands when I was a teenager on a vacation with another family that was friends of ours. They took me and their whole family on vacation, and part of that vacation was several days on a cruiser in the San Juan Islands, and I thought it was just amazing. And I kind of fell in love with the whole fishing village thing. And so I thought, wow, I wonder if this is what Maine is like. And I've always seen, Maine on different shows and different settings, the fishing village thing, the whole, fishing communities that are around it. And I thought, wow, that is so neat. I'd just love to go there and stay at a bed and breakfast sometime. But haven't yet. It's on the bucket list. I'll do it either in this life or the next. I don't know which, but we'll see. We'll see what I can get to. So this is Maine, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tell you about a very odd and disturbing story that happened to me. It all started on November 5th, 2006, and I hope you enjoy it. It was up in my bathroom. I was up in my bathroom brushing my teeth when the toilet flushed behind me. I was all alone in the house, and my mom ran out to the grocery store, and I turned around, but there was nobody there. I started to get a little nervous, but I kept doing my thing. Then I went into my room to take out the clothes I was going to wear, and I went to open my drawer, but the drawer flew open and the clothes I was going to wear flew out. I started to get very nervous now, so I went downstairs to call my mom when I heard a little girl's voice. That's creepy as hell. Something inside of me said I didn't need to be afraid. But boy, was I ever, and I grabbed the phone and went to my neighbor's house. About a week passed, and I hadn't heard or seen anything, so I thought maybe it was just my imagination. And then one night my friend Brittany slept over, and we both had just fallen asleep when she woke me up crying. And I said, "Brittany, what's wrong?" She said, "Morgan, someone just opened the door." And I said, "Are you serious?" And she stressed over and over to me that she was telling the truth. I looked around, and just as I took my eyes away from the door, I caught a glance of a girl with light brown hair about to her shoulders with a bow in it. And I wanted to scream, but I didn't because I didn't want to wake my mom and dad. We got up and went down into the basement, and we took out, oh no, this goes from bad to worse. We took out my Ouija board and fiddled with that. A few minutes later, I said, "Is there a spirit here who wishes to speak?" We took our hands off the moving thing for 1 minute, and when we looked down, it was moving, and it spelled out the word yes. I don't know if it needs to spell it, it just needs to go to the word. And I said, "What's your name?" And we had our hands off the moving thing, and it moved again and spelled the word Sally. Then I asked how old she was, and she spelled out the word 7. My friend and I were just too stunned to even speak. We immediately got on the computer, and I opened up the history of our house, and when the info came up, we both turned pale. It said in 1991 a girl named Sally was dying of pneumonia. There was nothing anyone could do to save her. She died on October 1st, 1991. She was only 7 years old, and this all happened in Topsham, Maine. Topsham or Topsham, I don't know. Maine. If you have any questions, please feel free to post a message or email me. Thanks. It says info on her web search couldn't be shared for privacy reasons. Yeah, that's horrible. Again, I'm not saying it's not possible that there are children spirits, but it just doesn't seem right. I don't know. So this poor little kid could be stuck in somebody's house. That's got to be heartbreaking. All right, so that's a creepy little story. This one's coming out of Texas. Oh, that's weird. Okay, I just got a flag from my antivirus, so I had to read that quick. It looks like they took care of it. Something was fishy there for a second. So this is the first time anything like this has happened to me. I was asleep dreaming some random dream of me in a car with someone I have never met driving it, and I'm not sure if it was in my dream or not, but I was awoke by a female voice saying my name. It just said my name once, and I was wide awake. It wasn't long or drawn out, just short, like somebody just trying to get my attention. I woke and moved my head back and forth, looking around my room, and I looked left because that's the direction that I heard the voice, but didn't see anything, so I turned my head right, and all of a sudden, it looked like a shadow had reached its arm across me and pinned me down. The shadow was angled as if it were standing on the side of my bed, hovering over me. It looked like one arm on each of my shoulders holding me down, and its head was face to face with me. There is no definition in the face or body. It just looked like a shadow. Its head was moving up and down rapidly towards my face and then away, and I squeezed my eyes closed and tried my hardest to move, but nothing happened. I tried to scream, but all that came out was a few moans and grunts. It lasted maybe 10 seconds, and when I opened my eyes again, it was gone and I could move. Immediately after it happened, I wasn't scared anymore until I sat there and thought about what had just happened. I've read about REM sleep, but not convinced since I was moving my head, arms, and legs when I awoke right before it happened. And I checked the shadows around in my room to see if maybe I had mistaken the arm and face for another shadow, but my ceiling was halfway lit up by a light on my radio. It also looked to the side. I also looked to the side of my bed where, while it was happening, and noticed that it had no body, lower body anyway, and as if it was just an upper torso. It didn't feel like someone was touching me, but I could not move a muscle. I do believe that when I squeezed my eyes shut and turned my head to the left, I couldn't move a muscle. I do believe that when I squeezed my eyes shut, I turned my head to the left. Oh, okay. I'm not exactly sure what time it happened, but by the time I gathered the courage to get out of bed and turn on the light, it was 6:08 a.m. But how long was that going on? I don't know. I don't doubt those things happen. I have no doubt at all that some of these situations, not all of them, I think that perhaps there are those who suffer from just sleep paralysis, which is more of a, just a neurological sleep condition where apparently while we sleep, our bodies release a chemical that basically disconnects our nerves, so that when we're dreaming, we're running down the street, we don't actually run out of our bed and kill ourselves. So it disconnects the body in a chemical way or electrochemical way. I don't know. But, and then the people wake up and their mind becomes alert, but their body still hasn't gotten rid of that chemical in order to, function normally. So they're sitting there going, I'm frozen. But I do believe that there are those of these occurrences that could very well be spiritual. And I think that our modern science seems to dismiss the spirit. I mean, it's just not even a consideration, when it comes to things like this. And I think that because of that, we've become a society of pharmaceuticals. It's like, oh, you can't get up when you first wake up. Well, here, take these. Don't mind that you're going to grow a third arm out your armpit or something. It's just, this should help you get up. It's like, just throw pills at it and hope it goes away. And it, I don't know. That to me is tragic. And I'm not meaning to throw any kind of criticism on modern medicine. There's miraculous things that have come about as a result of modern medicine. Amazing strides in order to help people either reclaim a life that they never would have had again, or to combat things that were once uncombatable. So there is some great things happen in modern medicine, but this disconnect from the modern medicine deals with mind body, but spirit is just something else. So you have psychologists and psychiatrists for the mind, and counselors, etc. And then you have these, whole plethora of medical doctors that deal with the physical. And so everybody's kind of just dismissed the third pinnacle of this, which is the spirit. It doesn't get acknowledged. I mean, psychology kind of may address it to some degree, but it just seems like we will never be holistically, healed until we integrate all three of those things. And that's why I think that, things like Chinese medicine and other esoteric methods of healing and medicine are so much more profound in a lot of ways, because they do address the spiritual. They do address those possibilities. If only we could come to a point where all three could work in harmony, then I think we would see some amazing results in the form of our healing arts, as it were. But so far, that doesn't seem to be on the agenda. And it's really tragic to me. Our ancestors acknowledged the spirit first. And, granted, they drilling holes in people's heads to let out the bad spirit wasn't necessarily the right approach. But at least they addressed the spirit somehow. So knowing what we know now, and upping those practices with not drilling holes in the head, but maybe modeling treatments along with spiritual help, whether that's whatever modality you choose, I think will be very profound in some future time. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Let's go to the next one. Now, this is coming out of Louisiana, and it has to do with Myrtles Plantation. Myrtles Plantation is one of the big hotspots for people to want to investigate. And I think that there's a lot of things going on there. But anytime, and I got to respect MCAT's opinion on this kind of stuff. He will not support places that sell investigating time, and I don't know. I mean, part of me is like, yeah, but it costs something to maintain those buildings. And if they're not able to operate them as some other kind of business, and this is the only way to get income, then maybe it's okay. But the other part is commercializing the situation where there might be spirits that are genuinely in agony and are being exploited because they can turn a revenue. And I do respect that part of it. So I don't know if I'm not sure how Myrtles Plantation is set up, but I assume they probably sell, the ability for people, maybe as a bed and breakfast, you can come in, you got to, rent the whole house, but you can investigate it if you want. That might be okay. But I do think that, over commercialization of these things is kind of exploitative in a sense, because we don't know the condition of these spirits. We don't know what kind of hell they're enduring. And then to have people, coming in, poking them and prodding them to get them to do something they can record, is that ethical? I don't know. I guess it's up to you guys to come to your conclusions. I personally, I don't think I would do it, but maybe I would. I don't know. If I was a person of a lot of means, maybe I would, but I would definitely go there with the idea that if I was going to pay that money, I would be bringing people along that were skilled enough to help cross over those that need it. So anyway, let's see what they say in the story. So this is my second story about my stay at the Myrtles Plantation. The first one included pictures of what I thought was a face, and the first few comments on the page agreed that they saw a face, but I think it might be nothing more than wanting to see something there. I have to agree it is probably the case, but it is still the first picture I show people when I talk about my trip. I'll include some other pictures with orbs in them with this one. I want to tell you a little bit about the house in case anyone plans on going there. It's not one of the biggest or best kept places in Louisiana to see. The grounds outside are beautiful, but the house itself is old, and once inside, you can see that. It does make the whole haunting thing seem a bit more authentic, but for a bed and breakfast, don't expect a 5-star hotel treatment. There aren't any TVs, radios, computers, internet connections, or anything electronic in the house. It also has really poor lighting in every room. The atmosphere is set up to scare people. We could hear everything inside and outside of the house from our room. For instance, there was a noise we kept hearing in our room upstairs and couldn't tell where it was coming from. Well, before we left, we realized that anytime someone shut a door, we could hear the chandelier rattle. Well, I don't know. That's legitimate, right? These old houses, that's what they do. I think this person is being pretty critical of the fact that they keep it the way it was. I also have learned that most of the stories they tell on the ghost tour cannot be confirmed to be true. It doesn't mean they're completely made up or that the place is not haunted, just that the origin of the hauntings may not be quite accurate. It is said that the house may be over an Indian burial site. That might be what started this all off to begin with. And they've been sighting a little Indian girl around the house, and there have been many deaths either by poison or disease, and even a murder on the property, and there have even been sightings of Civil War soldiers. I'd love to go stay there again. Once on the grounds, it's almost like you have stepped back in time. I hope you enjoy the pictures. So I'm looking, let me just look through these pictures quick. Oh, well, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, maybe I'll put them up for you guys to see. I guess we can go through them together, because I like that part of the show where we go through them together. And I'm sorry I can't blow them up real big because of the form. of this site, the way it pulls them up. I'd have to save them to the hard drive and then open them in a different app in order to blow them up. But this, you can see, it's from 2007. This is the orb over here they're talking about. Now that is interesting, but the door knocker is shiny, so that could create. I mean, that's not a real intense orb; it's pretty subtle, but the door knocker could be casting that. But there doesn't seem to be any really, really hot light on that would cast a lens flare. So that might be something. I don't know. That's the tough part about these things. But there aren't a lot of reflective surfaces that may have also cast that lens flare. Now, if there was more than one, I would say it was probably misting or a fog or something, because mists and fogs will turn up when you're using a flash. They will turn up as orbs. It's just the way it works. I've captured many mists in photos and had thousands of orbs. I don't know. It's possible that could be coming from the door knocker, just by angle of incident. If we are the camera here, it looks like. Actually, I don't know, because if this is the center point, this would be shooting this way, but the flash would be up here somewhere. So shooting down and maybe over as a reflection. It's possible. It's possible that is cast by the door knocker, but I don't know. That one could very well be something, but it could very well not be something. Certainly not convincing of its own accord. Well, these are. I see. I don't know what this is back here, but I assume this isn't what they're focusing on. This could be or couldn't be. I don't know. And again, it looks like the same orb, for lack of any ability to really blow it up and compare them. But it could be. I don't think that this would be casting lens flares. It's just too soft, and the flash doesn't seem like there's enough of them to be mist or sprinkling or anything. So could be. I don't know what we got here. I guess it's just a picture of the grounds. I don't know if there's anything in this one or not. Oh, that one's kind of good. Actually, that is kind of convincing, because it does have what appears to be its own illumination. Now, I would love to have seen a different shot at a little different angle to make sure that this isn't some coat hanger or something poking out of the wall that just caught the flash. But on first review, that looks like it could very well be an orb. Let's see what this one is. Oh. See, I like mists like this. I think that those could be really. It might have been foggy, but if it wasn't a foggy night, this could be really pretty convincing for me. I think mists are a real common manifestation, especially for very old hauntings. I think that they're energetically probably they must be pretty easy for the ghost to manifest as. I don't know, but not knowing the weather conditions or anything about this night that it was taken, I guess, what is this? Now it says 2003. So June 2nd of 2003. So we've actually gone back a few years here too. This must be from the first visit. I don't know. Very interesting. Could be, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. I think it's. There could be some really fantastic pictures in there. Nothing really jumps me out as being no, they got it wrong. They could very well be. So, very cool. And of course, Myrtles Plantation has no shortage of claims. that place is plenty hopping, all by itself. All right. Oh, hey Julia, glad you made it. Thank you for coming in. Good to see ya. Oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, today, last night actually, Duke did finish the episode that I was on, and it's now posted on World Bigfoot Radio on YouTube. If you haven't checked it out, please do. I watched it today, and Duke did a masterful job of doing the magic that Duke does when he puts together his episodes. But great graphics to illustrate what we were talking about. great visual representations, and he has this one shot of flying saucers over a field, and it's I'm not going to give away the joke, but it was hilarious. They're like beaming cows and stuff. It was pretty hilarious. So nice job, Duke. That was brilliant. And thank you again for having me on your show. That was a lot of fun. And ladies and gentlemen, coming up on the podcast, not this week, but let me look and see exactly when it is here. I don't believe it's this week. No, it's not this Friday, but a week from this coming Friday will be a brand new interview with Duke. That'll be on the podcast, so definitely check that out. So today, I released Poltergeist in the Studio on our podcast. On Wednesday, it's part 2 of Jim Mount's interview. And then on Friday, it's a discussion Don and I had about the little people. And it's kind of a setup discussion because I'm going to have Robin on, and we're going to discuss the little people on the podcast as well. But Don and I kind of set the table for that discussion as part of our Friday Cryptids and Bigfoot episode. So hope you guys will check it out if you haven't already. And like and subscribe to the podcast. So it's, if you're like on iTunes and stuff and you hit subscribe, it'll download automatically for you and on whatever app you're using, and it'll notify you, hey, we got the new one now, and you can just check it out. So that's always an option, but please do. It's been a great journey. I got to get back to where the hell I was. There I am. Okay, so next story comes out of Virginia. Virginia for Virginia. I don't know if Virginia's in here in the chat room tonight, but if you're out there listening, Virginia, this one's for you, just by virtue of name only. I don't know if it relates to you in any way, but every time I see the state of Virginia, of course, I think of our friend Virginia. So it says, when I was a child, we lived in a rented house just outside of Richmond, Virginia, near a 2 or 3 story elementary school just off of Hull Street, Hull. The house was small, 2-bedroom, 1-story house, and I don't recall exactly when it started, but my younger brother started talking about his best friend Jimmy, which he had made up because he really had no other children his age to play with. My brother and I shared a bedroom, and whenever I came into the room, my brother would say that Jimmy was hiding from me because he didn't like to be seen. During that time that we lived in this house, we were given a German Shepherd puppy who we named Lady, whose parents were guard dogs at the towing service where our father worked. My brother adored that dog and played with her all the time. There was one summer afternoon when I was 5 and my brother was 3 that my brother and Lady left our yard and went for a walk. Sometime later, my brother returned very upset that Lady had ripped his pants. My parents were surprised by this because Lady was a very gentle dog, even for a puppy, and asked my brother what he was doing and where he was when this happened. And he said that he and Jimmy were going to see the water. There was a small pond surrounded by trees at the end of our street, and that every time they tried to go beyond the trees, Lady would bark and growl at Jimmy so much that my brother decided to take her home. Lady finally grabbed my brother by his britches and drug him home. What a great dog. Wow. Our parents reminded my brother that he was not allowed to walk down to the pond alone and that Lady was doing her job by bringing him home. But my brother was adamant that he was not alone. He was with Jimmy. My mother made the comment that Jimmy's mother probably wanted him to come home, and my brother said that he was home and that we lived in his house, that he lived in the house first and that his mother went away. I don't remember exactly when we moved out of this house, but I do know that Jimmy was not mentioned after we moved. When I was in high school years back, I was riding around with my boyfriend at the time and saw the old school. We drove down our old street and we stopped a lady who was walking a dog in front of the house that we lived in, and asked her how long she lived in the neighborhood and if she knew anything about the house. She said that there was a lady who lived at the end of the street who could help me, and when I asked her about the house, she grew a little pale and seemed to shiver. I told her that I lived there in the early 70s, and the only thing that she would say was that there was a mother and little boy who lived in that house, and the little boy drowned in the pond one summer. I asked if his name was Jimmy, and she just looked at me and said, "How did you know that?" I should mention that my brother did not remember Jimmy until my mother retold the story. He did suddenly remember him, but he said that he was a real person and that he couldn't understand why he lived in our closet. Wow. What a brilliant dog, though. Wow, that's awesome. I I don't know if you guys are pet lovers or not, or maybe all of you are or aren't. And you may have your own opinions about this, but sometimes these pets are just like angels in disguise. I mean, they are just so cued in to what is going on an emotional level that they can just tell when something's wrong or going sideways long before we can. And there's so many stories, but this is clearly a story, if this is indeed true, where this dog for sure saved this child's life. For sure saved this child's life. And even though the little boy didn't know he needed saving, the dog could see the situation. And how in the hell is that possible? I mean, that's like some really deep reasoning that the dog could go, wait, that kid cannot go in that water. He won't be able to swim. I mean, if that much logic and thought is going on in these animals' heads, man, they sure play stupid a lot of times, because obviously they're working on a whole different level. Wow. And maybe perhaps the dog became a vessel for something else to come through and get that little boy home. I don't know. But I'd like to think it was the dog itself, that it wasn't by virtue of divine intervention, other than the fact that these animals can act divinely if needed. I had a German Shepherd. Her name was Xena. I didn't name her, so save me the grief of going, oh, you named your dog Xena, the warrior princess. No, I didn't. I got her name. She was a abused, neglected dog. She was a German Shepherd as well, but she had never been a puppy because she was mistreated. She was a year old when I got her, and she'd been horribly mistreated by someone else that tried to home her before, and she had never been on a leash, never done anything. Well, I worked with her for the first 3 days I had her. She wouldn't even let me touch her. She'd just walk around the house pacing and just whining, and she didn't know what was going on, but she knew she wasn't with her mother because she was living with her own mother in the home that I got her from. But she finally did, warm up to me and warmed up to my oldest son, which was the only one I had at that time. And then my middle son came along, and she really was a nanny to those boys. She would play with my oldest son on the beach and fetch sticks all day long. I mean, this is a German Shepherd, but she acted like a retriever. Well, one day, an ex I don't know if I can say fiance, because I don't think we were ever officially engaged, but she was the mother of my middle child. And she and I were living together, and she had gone to the store, which is only about a few blocks away. And she came back, and she was all nervous. She got in the house quick and shut the door and said, somebody followed me home. And I said, oh, man. And sure enough, as about a minute after she came in and told me this, I heard the porch door open on the side. And then somebody was starting to open the inner door into the house, like they were just going to come into our house. Well, my German Shepherd just went boom and bolted towards the door, just doing the German Shepherd bark. It gave me chills. It was just like, whoa, because she just wasn't that way. But, man, when that guy was going to cross that threshold, she was all about business. And he froze, and he was mumbling and stammering. He was like, oh, yeah, I went to the door too. And I was like, can I help you? And he's like, oh, I was just in the neighborhood. I was, going to sell magazine subscriptions, but he had nothing in his hands, nothing at all. When those people are peddling subscriptions, they got booklets and stuff. And this guy had nothing in his hands. He was all about doing something shady, but that dog saved her, it saved us all probably. But very cool. And that was nothing really paranormal or incredibly unusual. Dogs will just do that. But I mean, when they are so fixated on the well-being of the people they love, and it's just such a powerful connection. So, I think that they are nearly guardian angels in many cases. So, That's that story, and I like that story. I think that's really profound. I love the fact that that dog kept pulling him back and he wouldn't listen, so the dog grabbed him by his pants and dragged him home. That is awesome. That's a great story. This one's coming out of Maine again. Another one from Maine. Maine. I'm rolling a lot of Maines tonight, and I just click links before the show, ladies and gentlemen. I don't handpick these things usually. So it's just by chance that we're getting another one from Maine, and we may not see Maine for, another month and a half or 2 months in all these stories. So let's see what's going on in this one. It's very short. Have you ever been scared out of your mind? I have, and this is exactly what happened to me the night I probably will never forget. It was around 8 o'clock, and it was getting dark, and my neighbor tripped me, and I fell to the ground, and I laid there as he walked away. Wow, what a jerk. I kept trying to scare my little sister, my neighbor, and my 2 little cousins all night long, so I got up from where I was laying and knocked on the window. They knew it was me, so after a while I got bored of knocking, and then I ran back to lay down in the damp grass, and I got up and walked over to go inside, and when I saw this bright, glowing white light across from me run as fast as it could go across my grandparents' field, whatever it was, it had a glowing white body and an old-styled hat with a bow tied around it. After I saw it, I was in shock, so I kind of just stopped, and after realizing I had just seen the supernatural, I ran for the basement door crying, and I told my grandfather, and he said he had seen a ghost once when he was younger, which he had lived in the house next door, being my great-grandmother's for years, rather. I was so freaked out I didn't go back out that way during the night, and I stay on the other side of the house. Well, that's just a quick apparition, but I guess he was intent on scaring people, so that was kind of karmic, I think. It's kind of karmic. All right, I'm not missing nothing, am I? I am. I got a call here, and it's Miss Diane Swiger is calling us, so we better answer. Hello, Miss Diane. How are you?
Hello. I am just fine and beachy right now. I'm groovy, baby. And
all right.
so are all of you. You're all groovy tonight. So
I got grooves everywhere. Trust me.
Right, we got grooves everywhere around here. We got D's too. Hello, all D's. Calling all D's. They're here on the portal.
Sure.
Exclusively. But okay, so you're talking about animals and animal spirits, and so Dee has to call.
Oh, sure. By all means.
It's
absolutely
about animal spirits.
Okay, great.
One of my favorite subjects, really, because they have so much to teach us about reality.
Yeah.
I think
you're right.
Honestly. And love and friendship and everything. They have a lot to teach us. So we're very blessed when we have special pets like that. And I have been kind of researching it too, because I was talking to somebody on another show about this. How my cat, after he died, I think I've related this on this show maybe. Sure. How after he died, Kangi showed up on my bed after I came home from dropping him off on the at the vets to get an operation. And I said, "Oh man, this means you died." And he said, "Yeah, but I wasn't going to live that long anyway. And I know you'd be beating yourself up thinking you could do something, but you couldn't have done anything. I wasn't going to be here that long." So he told me quite a few things. And I'm like, wow, I think he was giving me a lot of secrets to the universe, and so was my other cat, and it's Maui. When she, my neighbor, it's really funny because my neighbor saw me having a conversation with her and her answering me.
Oh, wow.
And just sat there with her mouth open like, did I just see you having a conversation with your cat?
Oh, she could
And
see
she
the cat too, huh?
answered,
She could see the cat.
yeah.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
And it was like, well, she's not a seer though. She just saw the cat answering me. She saw the cat, because I'd say, Mao, you're not. I don't want you over there. It's dangerous.
Uh-huh.
There are sharp things there, and if you jump over there to look around, you could get hurt. And she was like, Meow, meow, meow. And I said, but no, you can't. It's not. It's too dangerous. I am worried that you're going to hurt yourself. Oh,
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
I thought you meant your
And,
neighbor.
and, and
I thought you meant your neighbor.
yes.
No, I mean I thought you meant your neighbor saw you talking with your cat that had passed away. Okay, so the cat.
Oh
Okay,
no,
gotcha.
this was still alive.
Okay.
And so after after they pass, they'll still talk to you.
Mm.
I have been researching this a little bit, and there is a animal communicator who I guess is extremely talented.
Right.
And she said, I can't remember her name right off. I'm sorry, but she said the thing that to remember is they see in pictures mostly. So whatever and they see all of you. They see more of you than a human sees of you. They see everything about it. They see what's in your head.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're, having a picture in your head, and this explains why every time I was pick something up and go to set it down somewhere, the cat would be sitting there.
Wow.
She was reading it out of my head. Thinking that's what she's supposed to do. And this woman said, well, that's why when you're trying to teach them not to pee somewhere, but you got a picture in your head about them peeing there, they're going to pee there again because that's what they see in your head, and that's what they think you want them to do. So in order to get them to do what you want, you've got to give them an entirely different picture.
Okay.
But see, this opens up a whole can of worms, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because if that is true, then that means that they're way more telepathic than most people.
Well, even Caesar the dog whisperer, he says that, they will, and this is just a guy that's training dogs, but he says they can feel how you feel. They're cueing off of your energy. And I know that's not just, I mean, I know that that's more profound than to say, well, they can tell you're rigid and stiff and on edge about something. No, I mean, literally, like they can feel when you are agitated and they will respond in kind.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that they can tell things, your state of mind. How many stories have we heard? I was so down and my, pet just came over and cheered me right up and, et cetera. Or there are many stories of them saving people in one way or another, warning people.
Right.
Trying to help us, and God, we must seem so dense to them. Like these poor humans, they don't hear it. They don't get anything.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I agree.
I mean, even bees. I could talk in my yard when I had a yard. I loved the bees because they really do help you garden. They are little gardeners. They help you have plants and I've read that bees are actually a domesticated animal and have been for thousands of years. And you can talk to them just like you talk to a dog or cat or anything else. You're talking really to the hive mind, though.
How about wasps? How about wasps?
Now, wasps,
yeah,
they're MFers.
Yeah, because they're really, really common up here in the north of Idaho. I mean, there's just wasps everywhere. And I'm constantly knocking down their nests. And I'm like, no, don't do this, And I'm doing my best to, do the mental thing, and because I think there is truth to that animals can respond to energy. So I'm like, come on, guys, what are you doing? And I got to keep knocking down their nests, and they built them in my grill and stuff. It's like, God. So I don't know.
Geez.
I don't know if there's a way to like
what are the
convince
wasps
them.
trying to tell you?
Well, I don't. It's literally everywhere up here. It's not just me. It's just
literally everywhere, not just you. It's
right.
everywhere up.
Yeah, they're just
Oh, wow.
wasps. Wasps are just more common than any other kind of
Wasp?
bee. What's that?
Like a paper wasp type wasp that builds the
Yeah,
paper nest?
yeah. Not really huge ones. They just build those, those little, the little stick that'll connect, and then there's a few tubes.
Yeah.
Yeah, those kind. If those are paper wasps, then yeah, those.
No, the paper wasp build the big paper things that sometimes look a little like a brain. Somebody had one that
Oh,
looked like a
okay.
brain. It was kind of cool.
We have those
But
up here, but those are more in the forest. The ones that I'm talking
okay.
about are the yellow and black ones, and I know there's paper hornets that build those big balls, but I didn't know about the paper wasps. But somebody else asked me that same question. I don't know.
Well, in any event, yeah, you can actually you know what I would try?
What's that?
I would try sending them pictures of going elsewhere.
Oh,
Like going elsewhere, or they're going to get burnt on your grill, or going elsewhere, or something bad is going to happen to them. Because the way that I got the bees out from my sighting, but I was gentle with them because they're friends of mine. So I was very gentle and talked to the hive mind and said, my my husband is allergic to you, and he's going to call the exterminator, which means he would kill you, and I really don't want to see that. And so I just kept beaming them pictures of going to the back shed where nobody ever used that, and they did that. Within
oh, cool.
3-4 days, they were all gone from there,
Wow.
and they were in the back shed, and they had built their new home there. But somehow they just wanted to be near me because they liked me, I think. That's all, because it was where
I'm
I
sure.
often would sit. It was near there.
Everyone loves
So
you, Dee. Everyone loves you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I love you, too. I love, you know what? It does come back to you, I guess, right?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
I try to beam love to all of you because I know that it is a very, you don't get enough of that. We don't get enough of it. We really don't. And I try to just radiate it as much as possible because I think it's almost exactly like sunlight on flowers, okay?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Everybody needs it, and if babies don't get it, they're going to die, and I think and older people need it too. I mean, I think everybody needs that. So I'm so glad to hear that.
Oh, of course.
And yeah, that really makes me feel good. And when I'm down in the doldrums, I'm going to remember that.
Well, just
But
call in and I'll remind you if you're ever feeling down.
well, thank you. I appreciate that, Brent, and I appreciate all of you. You're so brilliant in here. We have such a brilliant family in here,
We do.
and they know so much, and they add so much to my knowledge, and I think to the show in general, it's amazing. You guys are really amazing, and my favorite. This is absolutely my favorite show because of that.
Oh, thank you, Dee. That's wonderful.
So, here it is, just a big old paranormal love fest on the portal tonight, right?
Absolutely. I'm good with it.
Okay. So I would say, if you want to get rid of something, tell them why they should leave, or at least try and beam them pictures
Sure.
as to why they should leave. And if you don't know how to do that, you could try at least and see if it works.
Okay.
And if it does, please let me know, and then we've got a way to deal with some of these things. But that's pretty much the same way I talk to the clouds, too, to send rain, is I talk to them and I say, you really need to rain on this area because they're really dry and the water table's low. And, but I tried to send them to California recently, and they said, people didn't like us and sent us away.
Oh.
I'm like, seriously? Yeah, they didn't like us and sent us away. I said, well, they're farmers that need you, so you need to go back there. They're almost like children. They're so, how can I say, the energy is so fluffy and light.
Sure.
They're almost like kids, little kid spirits.
Now, Dee, have you ever seen those videos that are out there? There's only a couple or three that I've ever bumped into, but I'm telling you, they're the most bizarre videos I think I've ever seen that seem to portray, I guess it's paranormal because if indeed they're legitimate, and it comes out of some Arabic country, I'm not sure which, but a guy's driving around and he sees this cloud that seems to be descending and just right about on the roadway, and he stops, and this cloud just kind of sits by a fence, and it's like coalescing and stuff. Now this is with like a flip phone in the maybe early 2000s or whatever, so the quality is really poor, but he you can see this thing is like it has like an intelligence. I don't know how to explain it, but I don't know if it's if
Intelligence.
right. That's what I'm saying, and I don't know what to make of it. But it's when I saw it, I was like, "Are you serious?" Now full disclosure, I don't just because I've seen it, I don't think, well, God, that's got to be real. Of course, I'm always very, very skeptical of those kind of things. But if it is real, I mean, how far does consciousness go? And is it truly everywhere in everything? Because if there are sentient clouds, what the hell does that mean? I'll have to.
Exactly.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever get a chance, look for that stuff out there. Tell me what you think. But it's an old, grainy video, and it's been out forever. For years and years and years and years. Long before everybody was throwing hoaxes out there. Not that it can't be a hoax, but if it is a hoax, it's incredibly well done. I don't know what the hell to make of it. I showed Don a couple years back that video too, and he was like, "What the hell?" So we're perplexed.
I saw it too, and I am
Okay.
also perplexed.
Okay. When
I'm
they're
looking at that, and part of me is saying that cannot possibly be,
right.
and the other part of me is saying yes, it can possibly be because you talk to clouds, silly. And
Well, that's why I brought it up.
yes,
Yeah.
I guess it can because you see spirits in the clouds, and they're there. Like it looks like a weather front to somebody, but to me, I can see it's a dragon.
Sure.
They're
Now,
a weather dragon.
yeah. Well,
The way.
the other thing is that many people that follow the Fae and invest in that idea, they say that there are certain Fae that are dealing with the weather, and they are
Yeah.
intelligent and they are embodied in the clouds and in the weather, and they cause it to happen. And so I don't know. I mean, it gets so deep sometimes you don't know what to think. But what if? What if that stuff is
What
really
if the whole freaking universe is conscious?
well? If it's all a simulation, then it very well could be. I mean, and even if it isn't all a simulation, if there is a divine, if there is
It could be.
a divine creator that imbued and gave us all this reality, then all of this reality would include a part of that divine creator because energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It has to change form. So perhaps everything that we perceive and exist in was once part of the divine creator, whatever that is to you.
Right.
And so
Or it still is.
right. And so,
My own TOE theory of everything, it goes along those lines, by the way.
okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I think too. But I've been learning about this simulation theory idea that it's all a simulation, and maybe it is. I can't claim to know. I'm not. I mean, I'm just not well versed enough in it. But I do believe that everything has a consciousness. It has an energy, and if it has an energy, then it has a consciousness because that's not like electricity, which is just a pull or push by electron flow. This is an energy of consciousness. Because if it came from a divine source or some universal source, then it has a part of that divine source in it.
Strange as it is and hard as it is to understand or explain, somehow water has a consciousness,
yes.
right?
Native Americans, First Nations have always said that. And they pray to the water. They talk to the water, and they, it's very powerful. And, not only Native Americans, there's, it is an elemental. It's a force of the prime, one of the four prime forces. So, yeah, there should be a consciousness in it, I guess.
It is an element.
Right.
And stones somehow have a spirit, too.
Right. I agree.
Somehow you can talk to them, too.
Yes.
Somehow you can talk to doggone near everything. Now, this is another thought, though. If you go the mud flood way and you think about it, all of these stones and everything were part of bigger people at one point.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Now that really will bake your noodle, as the Oracle on the Matrix would say. You want to really bake your noodle?
Yeah.
Think about how far back that could go. Because, that some of these stones the opals were hearts. And the way that we associate certain stones with certain things. And it's like, what if it's because they're associated with certain parts of the people that they came, or animals that they came from? It's like, oh my gosh, that's a whole nother ball of wax.
Right.
So I'm like, how far back does this go? How far down does it go? There are people who have spoken to the AIDS virus, claim to have spoken to the AIDS virus and asked it why it happened, and it actually had an explanation that it was actually trying to help people, and they said, well, it's not helping, it's not doing what you want it to, it's doing something else, it's doing this. And the incidence of AIDS actually dropped after that.
Oh.
I'm like, so you don't hear as much about it anymore. It still happens, but it's like for a while it was just escalating, and then all of a sudden it just kind of dropped off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting.
And
the universal consciousness, huh? I suppose if it's alive, it has a consciousness to some degree.
So I'm wondering if we could do that with every darn thing. I mean, every disease, everything, and maybe if we could do that, then we would not have to have, medications with side effects. And, I mean, maybe metal fatigue is really the metal just saying, I've had enough of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
You are abusing me for the last time. Maybe that's really what metal fatigue is. Maybe it really is.
Right.
Metal being fed up, with the way it's being abused. I don't know. We have to think about these things a lot differently. I mean, if we start thinking like the Native Americans thought of it, everything's alive,
mm-hmm.
then it's like, wow.
Right.
So no wonder they had so many ceremonies and things to make sure everything was okay before they did it, right?
Right.
And look 7 generations down the line to make sure, to see what it was going to do. If we only would even do that much of it, and just say to ourselves, what is this going to do to 7 generations down the line?
Right.
It would probably be a way different world, wouldn't it?
It sure would. It sure would. I mean, for sure you would, if you believe that everything is conscious, then I guess it would probably lead to a lot more responsibility.
Yeah, and I think maybe that is one of the reasons why we don't have it that way, is maybe people just don't want that responsibility. They don't want to think they're responsible or need to be that responsible or feel responsible. Maybe we're getting down to the heart of why it's so rejected, is because if everything is just random, or if it's just a machine, or whatever, then we are not really responsible for anything, are we?
Yeah.
It's just happening, and we're we're not the cause, we're the effect. If we ever take up the responsibility of being the effect,
right.
It's a rather large responsibility.
Right. So.
Well, there's my philosophy for the night.
Well, I think that's good, and I mean, like I've always said, I always start the Paranormal Portal with an idea of what the show's going to be, and then the portal shows me what the show's going to be. So, and that's perfectly fine.
Unsettled presences. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no.
It went way off.
No,
from where the animals were. I hope you guys aren't mad at me.
No, it's
brilliant. I guess I took it
I
apologize to Weeds when making it a bit. That's cute.
What?
Somebody apologizes to Weeds. Yeah, Roundup kills everything. You know what? That's it.
Yeah.
It's true. Weeds get me, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I see that. Wow, yeah, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. I won't use Roundup because it's too cruel.
Well,
it kills everything.
I mean, clearly, there's even MythBusters back in the day did the experiment about do plants have emotion and do they respond? And they did the 3-person test where, they all did something different. One person went in loving and kind, the other person indifferent, and then the last person went in, and they had all these plants wired with really sensitive electrodes, so it would sense any kind of chemical changes or stress level in them. And the person came in nice, and all the plants were really responsive, had real gentle, mellow flow of energy for however they were measuring it. I don't remember. I did watch the episode, but I found it absolutely amazing. The second person, they just seemed kind of indifferent. And then the third person came in and thrashed the hell out of a plant and just beat it to death. I mean, just tore it up.
Yeah.
And then they all left the room, and they all came in individually, and they measured the plants again. And when the person that was loving and kind came in, all the plants showed like an eagerness or some kind of response that was real positive. The indifferent person came in, and there was absolutely no change. And once the guy that came in that tore apart that one plant, all of the plants responded with like a fear response, all of them. And that was on Myth. That was on that was on MythBusters, ladies and gentlemen. And you can check it out. I'm sure it's online. If you don't believe me, check it out. But it basically proves that plants are conscious, that they do realize what's going on around them. And in fact, if you love the smell of your cut grass, that's actually a chemical that's released, a danger chemical to the rest of the grass. That, hey, there's damage coming, So apparently that's like a fear response of the grass. I happen to love that smell, so I'm sorry to all the grass I've had to mow, but you delight my senses.
But I've talked to plants, and I've talked to the grass, and I've said, you guys, about the getting mowed thing, does that really hurt? Is it, I've always wondered, does that really bother you? And well, it isn't great, but, they grow back very fast. So, yeah, they're not, they'd rather just be left to grow, but it doesn't really bother them as much as we think because they recover from it so quickly.
Sure.
So, but,
there you have it.
It's not like if you cut a person up, they're not going to regenerate, they're not going to grow back like that.
Right, yeah.
But, they grow back, so they're not quite as traumatized. But yeah, they don't like it any more than anybody else, I guess. But they do understand eating. Now, this is interesting.
Okay.
They do understand when something is eating them, that has to happen sometimes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad they've come to terms with it.
That.
I'm glad that they're...
I don't understand it any more than anybody else. I was like, okay.
Right.
If a cow is coming and eating it, it's like, yeah, it's getting damaged, but then again, everything has to eat, so I guess that's some kind of a response to that. Don't know how. If bacteria, oh my gosh. We can tell our little mitochondria have been with us since practically our beginning.
Mm-hmm.
We might be able to talk to our mitochondria and do quite a few things, or maybe our T cells,
Very cool.
Maybe any other part of us.
I got to talk to my fat cells and make them go away.
Yeah. Could you guys shrink? Could you guys do me a big favor and just shrink? Release all of the junk and just shrink.
Could you just move on?
Maybe we could do that, actually. I don't know.
Maybe so, but we got another call on the line. So thank you so much, Dee.
Cool.
All right, love you, and thanks for calling in.
I love you, too.
All right.
And I love you guys. You guys are great, and I can't wait to see who's on. Okay. Love you.
See ya.
Bye.
All right, and we got Rob from Michigan calling in. How you doing, brother?
Hey, Brent, what's going on, buddy?
Nothing much. How you been?
Hey, I'm good. I just want to give you a quick, anybody for Memorial Day, God bless. And I got a great story here, and this happened yesterday, actually.
Okay.
So, it's not a big deal. I went to my mother's house, and I was setting up, put up my dad. My dad passed away 4 years ago, and he was, a veteran of the war and stuff. And So it was kind of strange. I went to put the American flag on my mom's porch. So I'm rummaging through, everything in the basement. I find the flag. It's all posted nice and neat in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So I take it out to the front porch, walk it out, and now there's a screw that my dad has had in there for probably many years. It's one of those screws where it was like a hexagon bolt or something where you needed a special tool to get in.
Oh, sure.
So I couldn't get this. So I couldn't get out the screw, and beneath the porch, you've got shrubbery and trees and so on and so forth. So anyway, I'm taking my fingers. I finally get this screw loose, and I'm twisting it out, and all of a sudden it pops between my forefinger and my thumb, and this screw flies.
Wow.
Flies out of my hand, and I can't. Well, it doesn't fly like that. It just slips out of my hand and flies wherever.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't land on the porch. I can't. They got like a half-acre front yard, and there's all sorts of flowers and shrubbery.
Uh-huh.
I'm looking. I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. So I spent 20 minutes, 30 minutes looking for this screw because I know for a fact in my mom's house that there's not a screw that I can put in. It's a special screw to put this flag into this flagpole to put it on the porch.
Okay.
I spent 20 or 30 minutes. So I go, great. So I go into my mom's basement. I'm looking through all my dad's old, nuts and bolts and find a couple. None of them fit. So I'm kind of getting frustrated because it's kind of an emotional time. So my father, he passed away not too long ago, 4 years ago. And like, man, I'll put this flag up for my mom. So I'm thinking I'm going to go to the hardware store and just see if I can. But I can't match up the screw because you just can't match it up. The threads, you just can't find it. So I'm mad. So I get this screw that I find in the basement. And I'm walking. And it kind of fits in. As I'm walking up from the basement to the front, I said, Dad. My dad's name is Bob. I go, Daddy-o, I'm going to tell you right now, you have to find this screw that came out of my hand. I need to find it. I get to the top of the porch, I look down, and lo and behold, the screw is sitting in the ground beneath the porch. I see it, I look at it. As soon as I ask my dad to find a screw, it's sitting there. And I'm thinking, I started tearing up like, oh my God, Dad. Now, you have to understand something. Now, the screw is sitting maybe 6 feet down from the porch, and my dad always used a, I don't know if you can explain, picked up like things off the ground, like one of these devices are like 4 foot long. There's a clutcher. It's like a clutch and it picks things off the ground.
Yep.
Does that make sense to you? You know what I'm talking about? It's like a
little grabber.
handheld device.
Yeah.
It's like a gripper, but it's like, okay. So I see this thing. I say, oh, cool. I know my dad had one of those in the basement. So I go and I find one. And lo and behold, I use this thing. I find the screw, and it's like 1 inch. I can't grab it. It's like 1 inch. I said, Dad, are you playing a joke on me? You're going to make me crawl back in the bushes and crawl back and get the screw? I was just talking in my mind to him,
Uh-huh.
And he says, he didn't say anything, obviously, like no mind speak. He's like, I'm thinking, he says, yeah. So I get on my hands and knees, I crawl back to the bushes, by the porch, I grab the screw, and it fits in, and I screwed in the flag, and that's it. And that's the story, but it was so heartbreaking. It was great because a great story was, like I said, Dad, help me find a screw. As soon as I look, it's right there.
Wow.
And I spent 20 minutes looking for it, and it pulled up, and
boom!
It made my whole weekend.
Oh,
It made my whole weekend, Brent.
that's wonderful.
And that's what I wanted to share.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. That's a beautiful story, and it's wonderful. I think that they're always there. They're always there, just waiting. To have contact.
Yeah, and it's funny because my dad, I say he passed away a few years ago, and I take care of my mom and stuff. And it's funny because my dad worked for Chrysler,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm taking my mom, and there's a story about the dime when someone passes. A dime might pass in front of you, or you might find a dime.
Yes. Yeah.
And ever since my father passed, I always find a dime. So I told my mom, this was like 3 months ago. She got a Jeep Cherokee or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and she bought it. She's real nervous. My mom's like 72, but she's
Sure.
still got her wits about her, so she can still drive and stuff. She's pretty cool. And
Right.
so, they pull out the car. My mom gets in the car, and as I said, my dad worked for Chrysler. She bought a Chrysler, and before she even stepped foot in the car, she looks down, and there's a dime sitting right at the driver's door.
Well, that's got to be confirmation.
And my mom goes, Dad said, yep, he approves.
That's awesome.
So that's all I have to say tonight, Brent. Man, I heard your story. I've been working a lot, so I haven't been out in a couple of days, but I just want to call and listen to your show. It's a great show.
Well, thank you,
And
brother.
I love you guys. So.
We love you
Yeah.
too, Rob. Thanks so much for calling in. It's always a pleasure to hear from you. And I'm thrilled that you
Yeah.
were able to call in tonight.
Now, it was a great weekend for me. Talked to my dad kind of, I guess, somehow, and that was great stuff.
Wonderful, man. That's a great story, and thanks for sharing it. Thanks for sharing it with us.
Yeah, no problem. I love you guys. So you guys all be good.
All right, take care, Rob. Good night.
All right, bye.
Oh, my eye is just burning, ladies and gentlemen. Oof. Oof. I have really oily skin, and if I've been sweating at all, which I am, sometimes it gets in my eyes, and it's just like fire. But I think I'm okay now. It's not me crying. I mean, it's a beautiful story Rob shared, and it's certainly worthy of tears, but I just think it's far too happy to shed tears for. That's wonderful. It's great to know, if we ask them that they do show up. Maybe not every time, maybe not all the time, maybe not often, but they do. And they especially in times of significance, like he was hanging that flag. So that's a significant thing and something he obviously took pride in as he was a veteran himself. So, that flag has very intense meaning for him on a very personal level. So very cool. You guys make every show amazing, especially, those of you who call in or share your stories. I really appreciate it. We've gone a little long tonight, but that's all right because anytime you guys are participating, I'll keep the show going until we're all done participating, which appears to be right now. So I just want you all to know I love you all dearly. Thank you guys so much for always being here and being a part of it. Thank you, Gemini and Nellie. Good to see you, Jess. I saw you come in earlier. And everyone else that's here. And thank you for all the support you guys give us here on the portal and spreading the word. Share word about the portal. If you know people that are into the paranormal, you're involved in any paranormal groups, let them know about the show. Maybe they'll like it, maybe they won't. But it certainly goes a long way to help us continue to build the paranormal portal. So I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other, help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And if you have a story of your own and you don't want to call in, it's a little intense for you. Thanks, Julie. You're kind of reminded me, but feel free to email it. Email in at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. And I would love to share your stories on the air. I got to get a hold of Nick and figure out. I got an idea for how to share his story. He sent me in it's a story he's shared a little bit on the air, but it's a much more profound review of it. And I think I got a plan for how we're going to put it together for you guys. It might even be a podcast as well. It's such a great story. So, but I love you guys. Have a great night. And I will be back tomorrow night for another round of the bedtime stories. And then we'll be on Wednesday night. And Don will be here and we'll mix up some mayhem for you guys. So love you guys. Take care of yourselves and sweet dreams.